Welcome to the podcast, Esther.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Well, Esther, you know what? So we're talking about careers this month, and I love, military. It doesn't have to be a full-time job. It is, by all means, but we like getting our creative side going. We like having options open on the outside and sometimes just making it extra income. And I love what you do as a virtual assistant. It is so flexible. You can take it wherever you are. So let's just talk about that on how we can have a side job or develop it into a full-time job. So first, how did you start this? Who are you? What is your story, man?
Yeah, so my husband was active duty Marine Corps for 10 years, and we were together for most of the last half of that. He lived all around the world, and I was together. I met him, our story's fun. I met him in Slovakia. He was doing Marine security guard. And then we did long distance for a year while he lived in Brazil. And then he got stationed at Pendleton in San Diego, which is where I'm from. And so we were like, all right, well, it was meant to be. So we got married and had our kid. And I found myself going from career woman to military spouse with a kid who, like, nobody cares that you have a job. Anytime he has to go at the drop of a hat, I'm like, oh, hey, babe, I'm gonna be gone for like 8 months. We leave in a few days. Like, what? Like, I was not used to that, and it was frustrating and kind of like, I don't know what the word is, but it made me feel like I wasn't valued and what I wanted to do. And I'd gone to school, like I had all these things to offer. I didn't want to just be a stay-at-home mom. It was boring. So I worked in corporate for a little bit, and I got so burnt out trying to do all the things because you only get 2 weeks off a year in America. And when your spouse is gone, like your kid's sick and you're sick, just that time alone, that's it, it's gone. So it was just not sustainable. And I was really, really depressed and crying all the time because I never got to see my kid. And, that wasn't healthy for him. And there was no way my husband could change. Like, he still had a few more years on his contract. So something with me had to change. So I just quit my corporate job. I was making at the time like $65 a year with like benefits and retirement. Like, I was thinking I was doing great, but I was so unhappy that it just wasn't worth it anymore. So I decided that I got to figure out how to work from home. People are doing it somehow. I will figure it out. I don't know what. And that's how I fell into virtual assisting. And people always like to ask me, like, well, how did you get your job? Like, I applied on Craigslist. It really wasn't that exciting. But what I found is I was booked out with work very, very fast because a good virtual assistant is hard to find. And so business owners will pass your name around. And I mean, I had as much work as I could possibly want, and I had too much. I had to start saying no. And I said, like, there's all these other military spouses and moms in my community on base and stuff that would love to be able to work from home. So I'm like trying to be like, hey, do you want to pick up writing some blog posts? It pays like 20 an hour, da, da, da. And they're like, what are you talking about? I don't know how to write a blog post. I don't know how to do any of this virtual assistant stuff. And so, the gears started shifting, and I said, well, let me just mentor a small group of women, and then I can have some people to refer work to. There was no virtual assistant training out there. There weren't remote job boards out there back then. Like, there was nothing. So I just started mentoring them. And at the end of the mentorship, they all had paying clients. We all worked an event together that they got paid to do. They were doing amazing. One of them decided to go back into like the normal workforce since then. And the other one runs like a thriving software business now, building websites. So they told me at the end of the little mentorship, I think we did it for 6 months, that Esther, this changed our life. We didn't know we could be anything more than just a military spouse following our spouse around. And we have so much more purpose to our lives now, and you have to do this for more people. And so since then, I grew my virtual assistant business into a 7-figure agency. I closed that because the demand for my virtual assistant training just like grew massively. And to date, we have almost 3,000 students now of people around the world, not just military spouses, people around the world that are working online now. So that's the story.
No, and that's a good one. And so for virtual assistant, because I was talking to some of the girls, and just like you said, they don't know what a virtual assistant is. So can you really briefly kind of give an overview of what a virtual assistant is and maybe, how much time it takes?
Yeah. So I always like to give the example that when somebody starts a business, let's say it's a cupcake making business, their expertise is in the cupcake making. But that doesn't mean that there's not all kinds of other stuff that has to happen with that business. So just think about it. We got social media on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Pinterest. We got blog writing so that people can find them in Google search. And we got Pinterest pins. Who's going to make those little graphics to put those on Pinterest? We've got maybe somebody wants to do a podcast where they have a podcast. They can do the audio recording and managing the guests and maybe promotions and stuff. But then somebody has to edit the audio. Somebody has to make the graphics to go along with it. Maybe there's some light bookkeeping involved. Maybe they just need somebody to help them make like the website's done, but they don't have time or expertise to like make little word changes here and there, maybe change this image, like small stuff, managing comments on blog posts and like spam comments and stuff, just simple things that anybody can learn how to do. And so that's really where the virtual assistant comes in. It's like a secretary or an executive assistant or kind of if you were a very small team in an office and then you would do lots of stuff because it's a very small business, that's what a virtual assistant is. It's kind of like a name for somebody who does lots of little things for a business owner. So they can focus on doing the things that they need to do to move the business ahead that only they can do. And a lot of times they don't know anything about Instagram. Like you've probably seen some really terrible Instagram profiles for somebody's like shirt making company or something. And they might be making bank, but their Instagram is crap. And that's a missing opportunity for them. And so a virtual assistant can come in even just with like more than basic knowledge of Instagram, and they have time to make graphics, they have time to do the comments, they have time to post stories, and then all of a sudden this is bringing in new revenue for the business owner. And that's just might be one thing that the VA can do for them.
No, and that's good because I knew there was multiple facets, but everyone asked for something different. So, a lot of hesitation. So let's talk on both fields. We got the service members that may want something extra, that creative outlet, and then we got the spouses that may want a part-time, full-time, whatever. So how can we adjust? Is it adjustable, or how does the virtual assistant realm work in your atmosphere?
So that's actually the best part about it is that number one, you can make great money. Minimum starting is 15 to 20 with like very little to no experience. You can just do like a training and maybe you made some samples and otherwise they're willing to train you. So it pays pretty well. And then once you get a little bit more experience, like I'm even talking like 3 to 6 months, you could even move up faster. You can get up to 30 to 50 to 60, like even more per hour as you add more skills into your tool belt. So that's like the first part about this. Some of my students, we just did a case study. We posted it this week on my podcast. She is a single mom and she only works 20 hours a week around her daughter's schedule when her daughter is with the dad. So like she's able to afford her apartment. She's got a car. Like she's able to make a full-time income on only those amount of hours per week. And she gets to pick. So some business owners are saying, hey, I just need a virtual assistant for 5 hours a week, or I just need someone for 3 hours a week. Or sometimes it's not even for the hours. They're like, I just need someone to help me with writing 2 blog posts per month. And I need them both and the graphics that go along with it. And I need them by the 15th and the 25th. And so then you just work whenever you want to and get it to that stuff to them by those times. So you can pick as much as you want to work. The important thing to know is that there is so much work out there, especially right now as businesses continue to transition into the online space and see the need of virtual support. So we have had, last week I was shocked. We had 3 days. So I have all these students and we have jobs that come in for them for just our students that I get on behalf of my network and stuff. And in 3 days, we had like 10 jobs come in. It was crazy. And our minimum pay is 15 an hour. Most of these were for 20 to 30 per hour or more. And they ranged. Some of them are starting at 20 hours a week. Sometimes people do 2 clients. They have one for 20 hours a week, another for 20 hours a week. I was crazy. And I used to work like 60 hours a week because I liked money. So, and then there's some for, like I said, as little as 3 hours a week. So it's really flexible and really up to you, which is, I think, the best part.
Yeah, in my mind, you can kind of take on as many clients as you want to fill your time gap that you want, right? Is that how it works? Okay.
Exactly. And it's all consistent. So you're not going to have somebody who's like, oh, write this post for me, and then next month they just disappear. It's all consistent contracts and consistent people that want a good person on their like team, so to say, that they know that they can count on. And every month they pay you and every month you have certain deliverables or a certain amount of things you're going to do each week.
Okay. And I do want to clarify, when you say team, everyone's like, oh, MLM. It's not, you mean team like a workforce? No, I mean like you're just virtual.
Yeah, like a company team. Like I have 12 people who work for me around the world. Some of them do customer service. Some of them do social media, like a remote company team. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing to do with network marketing.
Okay, so now let's talk about your training program. Because one, I will be honest, I've been so tempted to start it. And I'm like, okay, Andrea, with the podcast and everything, No. Like,
Then
I
it's
think I need a
perfect.
virtual assistant.
You do.
Okay, so let's talk about your training program. I've dived deep in it. I've looked in it. I love it, what you do. And I loved how it initiated off of the military. So it
Good.
adjusts to our lifestyle. So how does it work? What's the experience level? What can they expect from the training program? And why do they need to get trained? I know I've already been asked, why do you have to get trained to have a job? I'm like, well, any job you have to get, you normally have to get
Yeah, you
trained.
need it. Okay, fine. Go get a degree. That's fine. You can go pay 40 grand for it. Cool.
Yeah, so
Somehow
can you
that's
just,
different.
I know, right? So can you kind of just overview of what they should expect with your training program?
Yeah. So people aren't born knowing how to write a blog post using SEO. People don't know how to make graphics that are going to get people to click for Pinterest that match the blog post. People don't know how to post that onto WordPress in a way that the Google search engine's going to like it and be able to show it in search results. Just that alone is one small part of the actual skills that you learn in a program like mine. There's different kinds of programs out there. Some of them are like help you get to be a virtual assistant, or they also, you might hear the word online service provider, but they don't actually teach you how to do anything. You have to kind of try to figure that out on your own. So I saw that, and mine was one of the first ones that was ever built as well, because people just, well, how do I edit a podcast? How do I make the graphics to go along with the podcast? What's a podcast intro? How do I edit video? Because this is all stuff that you're going to ask to do as a virtual assistant. And then, okay, so I'm going to have a consultation with somebody. They want to work with me. What do I do? What do I send them? Oh, they want a contract. Oh, I have to send them an invoice. So there's that piece of it too. How to get work, how to use networking, how to actually turn it from a conversation into a paying job with money into your bank account. So there's that piece of it. But then the biggest differentiator is that it's almost like going to I call it like a virtual vocational school, because I'm literally teaching you, okay, here's how to make a social media package step by step. So by the time you're done, you have a complete portfolio of everything that all of the people that come to me and say, hey, do you have a virtual assistant for me that you can refer? And this is the stuff they want you to know how to do. And so that's why we put it into a training program. If you want to try and apply for VA jobs on your own, you can. They're all out there. You can go and find them and apply for them, but you might not qualify because you don't know how to do all this stuff that they're asking you to be able to do. If you do, great, more power to you, go for it. But if you don't, then there was nothing out there to fill that gap for anyone. And you don't need a 4-year degree for 20 to 40 grand. You can get it. Like, the online course industry has completely changed the game, and the entire academic industry is going to change, continue to change. And online courses, like, you learn the skills, you get up and running, you start making money, boom, done.
No, and I do think that's a good point to hit on. So when I started this podcast, I was like, oh, podcast should be easy. Girlfriend, I had to do a 90-day course just for the podcast. And I still don't know what an SEO is. uh, so it is
No,
hard. And that's one
exactly
aspect
it.
of it.
Yeah,
And
podcasting is just one module, and that's one thing that people might have you do. It might be all that you end up doing. Some of our students really love podcasting, and so they just say, hey, I'm just a podcast virtual assistant, and they'll do podcast management for like as many people as they want to. So really, you're right. Business owners don't know how to do all this stuff. That's why they hire people to help them.
yeah, and then so I wanted to bring that up because, like I said, it was a 90-day course just for the podcast, and that's one module to teach them. And your course is only 90 days, right? For everything.
Mm-hmm. We break it down so that in 4 to 5 hours per week over the course of 90 days, you can be done with the whole thing. And you can start applying for the jobs that we post for our students. But we also have like what's the minimum amount that you want to complete before you start applying for jobs? Because some people are like, I just want to get going. I don't want to not waste time, but like, I'd like to concurrently finish the course and start making money at the same time. So
That's
for
smart.
that, I think it's the first 4 modules worth of content where it's like blog writing and social media packages as well. And then just the basics of getting yourself set up to be able to work online. Essentially, there's a couple things you got to do to get yourself ready to go. So that's like the minimum that you need to do. We have a little list in there. But the rest of the course is always there. So some of my students tell me, hey, I just had my client ask me, can you start doing some PR work for me? And I said, absolutely. I don't know how to do it, but I know I have a module on it in 90-day VA. And so I went and watched it, and now I'm doing PR for them.
So this is kind of a lifetime thing. Once they do the training, they've got it for life.
Yes, and we do updates whenever
That's
we
awesome.
feel like there's something that they need. Like, I think I just did a new one on Instagram stories recently. We've done a new one on finances and just getting yourself kind of set up when you work online, it's a little bit different. So yeah, every time we see an industry change, then we'll update the course content. So you get lifetime access forever.
That's amazing. All right. So for expectation wise, so for women that are, we're always hesitant to start something new.
Yeah.
So what is that that you've seen in your clients? What is that final leap of faith that they take just to go into that VA film? Because we might still feel like we're not qualified, right? But if we apply for what we're qualified for, we'll never apply for anything, right? We've got to learn. So what's
Yes.
kind of that expectation?
Yeah. So there's two things I like to tell people. One is, of course, you don't know how to do any of this stuff. That's why you're going to take a course and why I designed a course. Nobody knows how to do this stuff. That's why we go to school. That's why we learn things. That's why we read books. So the first part is just acknowledging that this is where everybody's starting out. And even when I tell my students that, I still will have students post in there and they're like, I'm not like the rest of you. I don't have experience. And I'm like, who's the rest of us? Like, who are these ones you think that are in here with experience? Nobody does. So there's that part of it. And then the other part I like to tell people too is that business owners do not expect you to be an expert. So they don't expect you to come in and do like Facebook ads for them and develop a marketing plan and help them launch their podcast. Like, no, that is on them. What they need is just an extra set of hands. So I liken it to when you hire a babysitter. When you hire a babysitter, you're not hiring someone who's like a child psychology professional who's going to have special activities for them and their development and really know how to do. Like, no, you're like a mom and you're stressed out and you just need some help and someone to come in and help you, mom or dad, right? Same idea. So it's the same thing for a virtual assistant. You don't have to be like the most amazing person ever. You just have to be willing to do it because they just do not have time for all of that stuff. And they don't even have some of the basic to mid-level knowledge that you can spend a little bit of time learning and doing on their behalf. Like when I launched my podcast, I don't have time to take a whole 90-day podcast course and launch it. No, but guess what I do have? I have a successful business, so I can hire someone. Hey, you've never launched a podcast before. That's okay. Launch mine. Figure it out as you go. And I'm happy to pay them for their time and for them doing it. I know I would have to pay more for somebody who's like a podcast professional, but that's not what I need. I just need someone to help me launch the podcast. So I like to give that example for people so they can just calm down. People just need help.
No, and that is a good expectation because, yeah, it is intimidating when you're going to work for someone and you don't know what you're doing, but you'll have your resources. So for in your course, 90 days complete, I know you've mentioned before, I think it's actually in your resources that you provide before they even sign up. How do they get hired after the fact? Do they go search for their employers, or do you have people like you had mentioned that come to you?
Yeah, good question. So part of the program includes 6 months access to our exclusive job board, and then you can always renew for access if you need to keep getting jobs after that. And we have 40 to 60 job postings just for students every single month, minimum. And like I said, sometimes it'll be a whole bunch, and those are from my network. So sometimes those jobs aren't even posted anywhere else. They're just for our students. And I do a lot of networking on behalf of the students. And then the people that I know and I run in circles, like they do business mentoring and business courses and stuff like that too. So they tell their people to come and hire our people as well. So it's kind of spread like wildfire now because people know that 90-day VA students, if you get Esther's people, they're really well trained and they do excellent work well with clients. They know how to do the things that they need. So we have lots of jobs for our students. And again, I like what you said before of like, well, I shouldn't have to pay to get training to get the job. And you're absolutely right. And I make sure and say that that's not what we're doing here. If you need to learn how to do these online work skills, then you have to invest in some skills training. That's how it goes. If you want to try and figure it out on your own, more power to you, go for it. And then as a bonus, we provide a job board just for our students because I'm asked for referrals all the time. And why shouldn't those referrals go to my students? So that's the way it works.
Okay, that is, I love how you actually have, references and that you've networked enough where they know who your company are and who you're producing. So like you said, they don't even post it anywhere else.
It's awesome. It's like the best feeling. And I love seeing them. They'll even tag me in multiple places on Facebook and stuff. Say, oh, you should talk to Esther. She's got great VAs. I'm like, oh, I do.
Hey, that's how I found you, right?
Yes.
You were referred.
Yeah. So there's that. And then if people want to look for remote jobs, other places, there are lots of remote job boards out there. There's virtual assistant job boards. I run a free job board as well. It's only like 5 to 7 jobs a week. It's called Work From Anywhere Without Selling Anything. If you want to search for us on Facebook, you can kind of check out the types of stuff in there too. So like I said, you don't have to do this kind of thing if you don't want to, but I think it's a great option if you don't really know how to do the stuff that's being asked to get hired for. Like, what else am I getting? Now you're just stuck. Well, I don't qualify for jobs. No, the problem solved.
No, and it is, like I said before, it's just a great outlet that we can work from home. We can work from anywhere. So vacation, or if you're constantly traveling, whatever it is, it can help just get that extra income, creative outlet, something other besides the monotony of being home at it all day by yourself,
Yes.
or with kiddos, or at a full-time job where you need some kind of outlet.
It's also extremely addicting to know that your kids can be watching TV and you're sitting on the couch, like kind of hanging out, and you're making money. Like, it is the best feeling in the world. It's pretty great. Like, maybe your spouse is doing the kid thing on the Saturday morning and you're just like making money. It's a pretty awesome feeling. So it becomes really, really addicting, especially when you enjoy what you're doing. You get to pick what you do. So if you really like writing, then you can just do the writing stuff. If you really are enjoying video editing, then you can just do more video editing stuff. So it doesn't feel like, it's not the same as I got to get up at the crack of dawn. I remember my husband was a Marine. I got to get up at the crack of dawn and go all day, and people just yell at me all day. And I'm so tired by the end of the day. It's not the same thing. So it's great for a side hustle. And like you said, a great creative outlet, because there's lots to do with graphic stuff or writing stuff or editing things or web design stuff. It can really, play to that piece that might be missing during the week.
No. So, okay. So we are wrapping up, and I want to make sure you keep mentioning a podcast. So what is your new podcast?
It's not new. It's like a year old now. It's called Help Me Work Online, Esther. And we post episodes every week, all kinds of stuff, helping you if you're going to transition and you want to transition into a remote job, which really makes sense in the year 2020. That's what we're all doing. I have stuff on there about how to get your remote resume up to speed, job tips for applying. I post companies that are hiring, and then I do virtual assistant help too. And we do case studies as well on there. So I interview people who've done really well, and they share, how they found their clients or what they think really worked well for them. So yeah, it's a really like gold mine of information on there.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's not so new, but it's new enough where you've got plenty of information. It's still relevant, and we should all go check it out.
Yeah.
All right. So where else, where can we find your course, and how can we contact you if anyone has questions?
Yeah. So if you go to my website, it's virtualassistantinternship.com, and you'll see all kinds of resources on there. There's remote resume help. We have a virtual summit that just talks about different online job options. And then my program that I was mentioning is called 90-Day VA. So you can check that out on there. There'll be lots of stuff just more about me and our company and stuff like that on virtualassistantinternship.com. And you can also check me out on Instagram and TikTok. It's Esther, ESTHER_Inman, INMAN. And I'm on there like on stories or posting videos and posts and stuff on there too. Like I just posted 10 companies that are transitioning into being a fully remote company and the jobs they're hiring for right now. So I post those kinds of things all the time. So you're just kind of can always get some resources.
No, definitely follow you for sure. If you're looking at retiring or just need that extra job, or just need a job. So can we go, what is the difference between your summit and your course? Is there a difference? Because I was looking on your website and I was confused.
Yeah, the virtual summit is free, and every day you get 2 interviews, and they just talk about different online job options. So one day we'll be talking about how to be a graphic designer. One day is going to talk about how to get into video editing. And so it features a different guest expert who's in that industry, and then they give you different resources. And that's really more for people who don't really know what they want to do yet, and they don't even really know what's out there. And then that just goes over all that kind of stuff. And that's free, but you have to watch the interviews within 24 hours. And then you can buy the all access pass for all of them for like $50 for everything. And then you get lifetime access to all those interviews. 90-Day VA is like actual skills training. You're like, okay, I know I want to do virtual assistant. I want to learn podcasting. You can see the syllabus. It'll be on there, it'll be linked on there. I know that I want to do podcast stuff. I want to do video editing stuff. I know I want to do some blogging. Like there's all these things I know I want to do. I got to learn how to do it, and I want to help getting a job. The 90-Day VA is the place to go. But if you're not even sure what you want to do online yet, because I was getting so many questions about that, that's what the virtual summit is.
Okay. So Thank you for that clarity. And I will include all these links in the episode notes. And Esther, just thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And I hope that you have provided some amazing information for people that just need something extra in their lives.
Yeah, I hope that it was really, really helpful. And I think I'll just end with, don't give up hope. If you feel super drained during the week and you don't feel like you're living your best life and you know there's something more, I think a lot of people have that feeling. And I had that feeling. That's why I quit my job in corporate America. I was miserable. And I knew that there was more to life than just commuting every day and then waiting until I retire. And then I can do fun stuff and then I'll die. Like, I knew that that wasn't it. So if you're looking for something to be able to do something that's not the status quo, something a little bit different, and that could mean just having a side hustle so that you guys have more money for epic vacations for when you do have time off. Like, that dream looks different to everybody, but however that looks for you, have hope that it is completely possible. It hasn't just happened for me, it's happened for thousands of my students, and you can make changes that will lead to something that's more fulfilling and feels good and that you're actually excited to get up every day.
I love it. Thank you so much, Esther.
Thank you for having me. Bye.